I broke my own rule and I went and did this thing. Stay tuned. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Paul Knapp coming to you once again from the man cave. And I went and did something I said I would never do. I broke down and I bought 6-inch figures. Now if you guys remember this cartoon series, Dungeons and Dragons from 1982, I believe it came out. It was one of my favorite cartoons, so I couldn't pass it up. So I broke my own rule. I said I would never buy 6-inch figures, which is 1/12 scale, but I did. So, and I'm going to show you why I bought this and where it's going to go. Okay, so those of you that follow my channel know I have a Miss Pac-Man machine from 1981 in my garage, which still works and has a lot of games on it, not just Miss Pac-Man. But I have this big empty area up here. In that space, I put a board up there to level it, as you can see, and I was going to put a TV up there, but it was too tight of a fit and it blocked the G.I. Joes, and I didn't really know what to put up here. So it's been vacant for a while. It is 24 by 24, perfect square. So I came up with the idea once I saw this. Now, I've seen a lot of people doing reviews on these figures. I heard they are very brittle, they break very easy. This one was actually smashed in the store, but I checked it, it wasn't broke. Still looking for the other Wave 1, and they're coming out with Wave 2 very shortly. But I want to make a diorama of one of my favorite cartoons growing up as a kid and just put it up here. So it's going to be 24 by 24 and maybe only, I don't know, 8 inches high, 9 inches high or so, just not to cover up the G.I. Joes from the back. And I think that would be a cool little diorama. I'm not getting back into collecting 6-inch figures by any means. Like I said, the only small figures I have are the 3 3/4 Star Wars figures in the garage. So yeah, I'm not going to be a collector of 6-inch figures, but I do love this cartoon growing up as a kid. And I think that's time for some type of diorama to go above my Miss Pac-Man. So follow me along on this journey. Okay, so this week I was able to pick up the 2 other figures I was missing. This is Hank and Diana. So I have all of Wave 1. What I've started is I cut the base. I cut it just a little shorter so it's not totally end to end. I think it's 21 wide, and I went 18 deep. I didn't go the entire distance deep because I wanted to have a back to it. And as you can see here, if I went all the way back, it was going to hit my shelf. So I think we're 18 inches deep, and this pink foam here is 9 inches high. Just enough to cover Avenger and still not block the G.I. Joes behind it. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. Put 2 little side walls on here. And I believe I'm going to be recreating the last episode of Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon series. So if you're familiar with that episode, Requiem, you'll know the last fight in the castle. I think that's the what I'm going to try to recreate here on this small platform. So my first step with this diorama was to do the back wall. You can see here I'm starting with my brickwork, cutting 1-inch blocks. And these are going to be stone, not red brick. So I think that'll look good as a castle in the background. And then we're going to cut some small side walls and then go with the base. So once I'm finished with cutting the bricks, I'll just take a ballpoint pen and deepen those lines so they'll show up better when I do the black wash. And you can see the difference here with the lines that I did across the top versus the ones that haven't been deepened yet. And then I'll go and do the vertical lines next. And here's what a finished brick wall or stone wall would look like before I do any texturing. Again, all you do is just cut your bricks or stones, and then you want to make sure you bevel them in further with a pen or something. And don't worry about stuff like this, because that actually looks good. Makes it look more like real brick when you go ahead and fill that in with either mortar or your black wash that'll be in there. So don't mind that stuff, that you actually want that. So the next step is I usually do some type of texture on this, and that requires a rock from my neighbor's yard. Okay, so after about 2 hours of cutting, here's what we're looking at. I did the back wall. I finished the base. I just kind of went with a big squares. I think it looked better than going with smaller blocks, and it looks more like what it did in the movie, or in the cartoon, excuse me. And I made a little archway, half archway, because the wall's gonna end right there. That's gonna look a little different, but 6-inch figure, I think I went 8.5 for the top of the archway. So I'm gonna put another half wall on this side, and then start painting, I think. Okay, so I kind of worked ahead a little bit without taking any videos, so I'm kind of playing catch up. The back wall again is done. That's gonna go here. I'm still debating on putting in magnets or just gluing it permanently, since it's gonna be in my garage and it's not going anywhere. This wall piece is going here. Again, I cut the brick and tore out the hole in the wall. Made some debris here, as you can see, and that's all being glued as we speak. And then this side is just going to be that little half archway to kind of show where the doorway would be. And again, that's either going to be magnetized there or glued on permanently. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with that yet, but and that's pretty much it. If you do remember the last episode of Dungeons and Dragons, there was a coffin right here. I'm just afraid if I make that to scale, if we use this as, it's going to take up half the floor if I put a cement stone coffin in there. So I think that's going to take up too much floor space for all the figures, because I still have 3 more figures that are coming in yet. So hopefully you guys see this and are getting ideas and follow me along. Okay, so now I'm at the point of painting everything black. I have all the walls finished. I was able to make sort of a tomb crypt, if you will. It doesn't open up, it's just solid. And I found this piece of jewelry. Thought it might be kind of cool. It's a little big for it. It kind of sticks out over the edge, but it's better than having nothing there. And I thought it was kind of Dungeons and Dragons-ish. So we're gonna go with that and see what that looks like. But yeah, so we are at the step of painting the base coat black on all this. Okay, so everything has its first coat of black, and it's sitting in the sun here, just getting dry. And then we can start the second coat. So I put the first coat, kind of a heavy dry brush, on the walls. I went with just a simple matte steel gray color from Michael's, I believe. So this is what the first coat's gonna look like. I am gonna paint the back of these solid black once I'm totally done, but so letting those dry right now, and then come back and hit it with some highlights of probably a white or an off-white color, and then start the base. And this is how the black turned out on the tombstone. So hopefully the highlights on that will make it look even better. And now that I finished everything in the steel gray, I come back with just a simple black wash, very thin black wash. You can see the difference. Brings out all the texture of the stone versus here just having it painted. So I'm going to do the black wash to all these pieces and then glue it together and see what it looks like. Again, it's very simple, not a lot of colors here, but when I watched the video, the cartoon, there wasn't really much to it. A lot of blacks, a lot of grays, a little bit of blues, but I think I'm going to keep it simple, just as a simple diorama to set up the figures on and see what it looks like. The black wash is still drying on this, but I do like the looks of it. I did want the walls a little lighter than the floor. I'm thinking the floor is going to be mucked up a lot from people walking on it, so I wanted that a little bit darker than the walls, which I kind of got it like that as best I can. Again, this was a quick build. This was nothing I took a lot of time or effort onto it. I just wanted something to display my figures and show the last scene of Dungeons and Dragons from the cartoon. So I'm gonna wait for this to dry. I am going to glue the walls on. I figured it's not gonna be moved, so I don't need to put magnets on there. It's not gonna be stored away. It's just gonna be in my garage. And again, it'll be a perfect fit for on top of Miss Pac-Man here. And here is the finished product. The walls have been hot glued together, so they're not coming apart. The crack in the wall that was shown in the cartoon. The cracks in the floor where the ooze monster, whatever you want to call it, was coming out of the cracks. Got some debris from the wall there. Got my version of his tomb. I highlighted that with some white on the edges, as you can see. I think it turned out all right. Again, this was just a quick weekend build, nothing special. It's funny, when I build dioramas for customers, I take weeks to complete them. When I do something for myself, it's done in a day or two. I just throw stuff together, but you know, as a quick weekend build. And again, this was just a background for my figures. I guess it turned out all right. You got the point of what I was trying to recreate from the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons, the last episode called Requiem. Still thinking about putting a black background in there so it looks like it's going into oblivion. I think that's the term they used in the cartoon. I'll have to look that up, but the abyss, I guess. So I thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this quick build, and as always, keep on collecting.